Ladies and gentlemen. If there's one zone to do, well, I'm feeling this crappy, it is Dustwallow. Probably one of the worst zones still left in the game. This should be great. I'm looking forward to this. Guild Wars 2. Wow. They're, yeah, Patch Within. Wow, Midnight. Thank you, Magister. As always. Yeah, so for those of you who missed it, yesterday the servers were down, and also I was kind of dying from sick. Today I'm still dying from sick, but it's okay. We got this. So remember the highway I mentioned? This is it. This is the big project. This is the thing that has been the cause of the South Barrens quagmire right here. This is this road. So just follow this sucker for a bit. And this is a marsh, so having a road through the marsh is obviously very helpful. What's funny is this would actually be a hell of a feat in lore. Like, that is not a small sequence of bridges and pavement. And again, this is a marsh, so... And here's Theramore, which is now a staging post for the Alliance military efforts on Kalimdor. More so than the Night Elven areas, actually.
You need something?
So I'm just going to race through these because there's no order to these quests. There's no real plot line to this. These are literally BC quests. When I say literally, I mean that literally, unlike some people. No updates were done to Dustwallow past BC of any point or substance. Yeah, this is one of the two remnant zones. The other one's Silithus, which we're not even going to review.
Be careful.
Deep in the heart of the swamp lies an old woman named Tabitha. We don't really know much about her, save that she's a good deal older than she appears. She's helped us from time to time, and kept peace between us and the Horde forces. She used to keep in regular contact, but we haven't received one lately. Could you check on her when you have time? Yeah, sure.
See you later.
I can't help but feel sorry for old Jim there. It wasn't always like that, running in out in the marsh for a while. Look, I don't want to talk about it. Bring it up with Vimes if you want to.
See you around.
Yeah. Yeah, for the record, this is obviously not BC music. Well, I mean, this is vanilla music, but whatever.
Hello.
Working on a dish I call Mudrock Soup and Bugs. I need the major ingredients, and I don't think I'd last long trudging through Dustwallow Marsh, so I need you to go hunting for me. Get the tongues of turtles, okay. So it needs to be non-forked. Or it has to be forked tongues, specifically.
See you later.
So there's your explanation for the bad drop rate we're about to have to deal with.
Well met. Light bless you.
James Hyle is his real name. He opened an inn at the edge of the Barrens. Wanted to make a nice place for travelers to stop over. Might be he was thinking too big, but the inn did well for a while. Then we lost control of the road and the marsh, and the ogres took over. James was too stubborn to give up his dream for safety within our walls, and the Shady Rest Inn was burnt to the ground. We're still investigating. We haven't had much luck.
Be careful. Need help? For the Alliance.
Poor James never recovered from the destruction of the Shady Rest and the murder of his family. Boys and I are doing what we can to find the monsters who did this. I've sent our best investigator to find out. Oh yeah, by the way, you're probably wondering... Hang on, Laura. You're doing all these quests on the Alliance. Surely these quests are different on the Horde. There are like 3 quests that are different between Horde and Alliance, but otherwise it's pretty much the exact same thing. Both Horde and Alliance, for example, investigate this inn and the devastation thereof. Good news, Magister. It does not.
Hey there.
Steamweedle Cartel recently established a new outpost in the southern part of the Dustwallow Marsh called Mud Sprocket. I recall it's located on the main road south of Tabitha's farm. Excellent opportunity for us to establish new trade contacts, and Lady Jaina wants me to send a representative to
A good one.
You can also tell we're time-locked before the war, even though all of the engines of the war are here. So the quests are circa BC, but the visuals are circa Cata. Just even more confusing. Yes, good morning to everyone I have not said good morning to. I do hope this day is going as well as it can for all of you. What sword, Magister? You know, it's true. That road would be very helpful to the Horde. Which I prefer visually, Dustwallow or Swamp of Sorrows? Well, that's actually a good question. I'm pretty sure I'm going to give neither of them a brickwork positive. So, having said that, I think I will go with Swamp of Sorrows. If you type exclamation mark, you'll see the list, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. And I have no idea, Linear Ruth. That's an odd question, Linear Ruth. Do you mind clarifying it? We have, Lord Hermon. We have completely swept Stone Talon and South Barrens. We did that while I was beginning to be sick on Monday. Now that I am thoroughly sick with these ones. Sure thing, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. All those dungeons and raids are abandoned by the developers. The end. We actually have precedents for this, believe it or not. But regardless of set precedents, the fact is that those dungeons are abandoned in every way, shape, and form that matters. Now, the dungeons have an event periodically that allows you to redo some of them, thanks to time walking. While you're in Chromie time, you could face roll your way through them, which is functionally non-content and therefore also counts as abandonment. Raids are completely abandoned. The only thing that, qualifies for going back and raiding is just going back and face rolling your way through it, one-shotting all the bosses. That's not content, and once again, qualifies as abandonment. Hey, look, there's Defias here. There really shouldn't be Defias here. So for the most part, I am going off of memory. Like what, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton? By default, I would say if they actually just ejected the dungeons from the game, I would probably get rid of the abandonment negatives. I know that sounds strange, and it could be argued, but the problem is, it's, I don't know, we could debate that. In fact, actually, let me double check my notes. Let me double check my notes on that. But Chromie time for leveling actually works quite well, all things considered, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. The fact you can speed level through everything is a good thing, not a bad thing. Like the fact that you're not stuck there slogging your way through dungeons and levels over and over and over and over and over again, and then run out of quests because you don't have enough experience to get to the next level. That's a good thing. That is true, Blake Joel. Any story positives we give dungeons would also go away if they did that. Like, just because this isn't vanilla or classic doesn't mean there isn't challenge to the overworld. I've died plenty of times to prove that, across all 3 expansions we've done so far. Hi, creamy human being. I'm glad you like the VODs. Thank you for telling me. I don't get a lot of feedback on the VODs, so it's always nice to know that someone actually watches them. Yes, a huge amount of plot happens in dungeons. We're not... Ironically, you haven't really seen that much yet. Cataclysm was kind of the beginning of that concept. But yes, a lot of main plot is going to start going into and through dungeons, especially when we get to the end cata stuff. Like dealing with the Tol'vir, or all the stuff that's going to be happening with the Twilight Bastion. All of that stuff's going to be in dungeons. So I don't know what you're doing to one-shot rares, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. But you clearly have way better gear than I do. Like, you saw me almost die a few seconds ago because I pulled 3 mobs. 3. What are you on about? Like, I'm sorry. My tolerance levels are lower than usual because I feel like trash. So please, reach out to me a little bit here and explain yourself, because I don't get your point.
Greetings.
Defias and Dustwallow. Oh my god.
For the
And
Alliance.
literally the question... Okay, I'm going to read that out loud because of how... God, I love BC quests. My scouts have reported a shipwreck just off the beach to the northeast. Shipwrecks aren't all that usual, but the reports indicate survivors all wearing red bandanas, the symbol of the Defias. The reports indicate their leader resides on a large island just off the coast northeast of the tower. Kill him! Retrieve any documents he has in his possession. Also, I forgot to pick up a few quests.
Hey there.
The lighthouse hasn't worked for some time, but Bab's fizzle torque has gotten into her head to get it working again. Oh no! Ow! I don't know how she plans to do it by herself, but she claims it'll make the movement of ships and goods into the dock smoother. Wait, hold on. That sentence is really badly constructed. I hate to complain about something so minor, but just take me a second. I don't know how she plans to do it by itself, comma, but she claims it'll make the movement of ships and goods into the dock smoother, so I can't really object. What? So let me explain why that sentence is stupid and badly written. What she's saying, damn it, Lord Aramont. Yeah, you notice I didn't pull a 4th mob because I didn't want to actually die. I don't know how she plans to do it by herself indicates that the subject of the sentence is the person who's going to fix a lighthouse by themselves. Which is already a little bit silly that, it takes more than one person to fix a lighthouse. But let's leave that aside for a second. But then, the next portion of the sentence after the comma is focusing entirely on how the fact that it's going to allow ships to move in and out smoother. In other words, what she's saying is, I don't know how she'll do it by herself, and I don't know how lighthouses work. That's actually what that said. Like, even the way it's structured, she claims it'll make movement of ships and goods into the dock smoother. Do you know what a lighthouse is? Have you heard of this strange and alien technology?
Safe travels.
Ugh, anyways, sorry. Moving on.
You need something?
It's good to meet you. Oh, hey. I've come to Theramore to help eliminate a problem of deserters. Not only have some of my men abandoned their posts, but some have filtered back into town. These deserter agents are spreading lies and propaganda, hoping to convince others to join their ranks. They're at virtually every guard post throughout the town and docks. Find them, expose them, and discredit them. At this point, anything more risks inspiring more sympathy for them.
See you around.
Wouldn't you like to bring the good old days back? I have some friends who know how to do just that, is what a deserter just said. So, I think WoW's leveling speed right now is in a good place. I think it used to be too slow, and then it used to be too fast, and then it used to be too slow. I think we've actually officially hit a point where it is at a good pace right now. And that's my position on that, and I stand on that very firmly. Especially since I remember how leveling used to be. I know how leveling is now in Classic, and I know how leveling is in other MMOs.
You need something? See you around.
People will note Admiral Pradmore for the true hero he was. Yeah, a genocidal madman. That's literal, by the way. He was genocidal and he was a madman.
Good day to you.
Whoa! You won't stop us from exposing the truth about Jaina's cowardice. Oh, I'm sure there are, Blade to Fall. I mean, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton is already stating that outright in chat right now. Like, if I really push, and I mean really no life it, I could probably have a character at max level in 4 hours right now. But if you've been paying attention, despite just going around and doing content, I'm only level 52. And hey, let's just do a thing here. And this character is 15 hours old. 15 hours to hit level 52 doesn't feel particularly fast or slow to me.
Hey there. Safe travel.
That's why I say I think it's in a good spot. Because there have been points in time where it was a little bit too fast. In fact, I believe that was just 2 expansions ago when leveling was just a little on the wonky side. And during events and anniversary stuff, you can level up even faster. It's people like you who weaken the Alliance and invite the Horde to take away all we've... Now, I do also have to add that that 15 hours to hit level 52, that's with a 10% experience buff just baked in, you know? Just there. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit too scarred by years and years and years and years of taking literal months to hit max level in a game. Hell, it actually took me years to hit level 126 over an Asheron's Call. Now, in the interest of fairness and honesty, there is one thing I think that needs to be fixed, and that is Chromie time. It is still definitely some janky spaghetti code, and really needs to be polished out. Right now I have to jump through too many hoops that I myself have had to do independent studies to figure out how it works. And in order to actually maximize my, overall enjoyment and content of the game. There we go. To my knowledge, they haven't fixed the scaling, but I haven't had a chance to peruse the undocumented changes yet. Excuse me. Yeah, the fact that we have to go talk to a vendor in the capital city, which nothing indicates they're even there, that's a negative. Actually, I've already given that negative. The fact that I can't time walk past from 68 onwards, that's a negative. The fact that it kicks me out of time walking whether I want to or not, even if I can't switch again, the moment I hit 71, that's a negative. And I've given negatives for all of those things because that's stupid. There's no reason for the game to limit my options in that way. If I want to go keep leveling to 80 in Kata, I should have the option to do that. And, to be perfectly frank, Chromie Time should be a menu option, like here. There should be a thing where I just go, boop, and there's the interface, and I say, yeah, Kata, please, and I just click it, and then we're done. Instead of, once again, having to go to Capital City and talk to someone. At least they finally labeled her. What are we, Alliance? Yeah, see? Right there. At least they put her thing on the map. That's actually relatively recent, by the way. Or yeah, maybe if it's too spaghetti, make a friggin' toy. Like, do you see this? You know what this toy is? This is a mailbox.
Next in line, please.
See? I can just summon a mailbox to myself. There's actually several of these. That's a nice feature.
Good luck out there.
It's not a menu option for a mailbox, but it is kind of a spaghetti code option for a mailbox. And like I said, I have several of those. See, I was thinking about that, Mr. Ed, and I completely disagree with you. And I think you're literally Hitler and Stalin if the two had, like, this really weird, like, bazooka baby. It's kind of strange, honestly, but you know what? You do you, Mr. Ed. I know that you like being a bazooka baby. So what I'm thinking, I forget the exact number, so please forgive me on this, but if you quest through War Within, and the end game quest gear gives gear item level number blah, we'll say 100 because I don't remember the number, so please forgive me. Give me that.
Many farewell.
Yeah, I should know what it is, but I don't, because I kept getting tons and tons of it. So, the point is, the leveling gear in War Within caps, right, at a specific item level. The moment you start getting level 80 quest gear, it won't go above X. So implement that. Make it so that the highest item level you can get in time walking is that, whatever that item level is. Boom. Done. Like, I disagree with the gear treadmill philosophically, and I don't want to go down that particular rabbit hole right now. But the game itself already implements this exact concept. It just does it in War Within. All I'm saying is they should expand that out and to also include time walking. I should probably continue this quest. Well done! I think we managed to catch them off guard. Their agents probably thought themselves safe in the city walls. Given time, the agitators will return and spread their lies again.
See you later.
The deserters are doing more than just chatting up the guards. We found a number of leaflets the deserters somehow managed to smuggle into a ship on the docks. The ship used to transport the leaflets is still in Theramort, the farthest dock. Sneak in and capture the rest of their documents. The agents will lose their most powerful tool.
Safe travels.
Okay. Yeah, I generally haven't been reviewing professions yet, and frankly, I'm not sure I'm even going to. There's not really a lot to review there, to be completely frank. I did give several negatives to the interface, as well as several positives to the interface. But, like, professions themselves... Okay, hang on. So let's scoot. Okay, so this is 4 mobs, so I might actually die here. Let's pop this. Let's pop this. Let's pop this. Hang on. Okay. Need you to die to the dots, please. Before I die. Okay, we're okay. Funnily enough, those privateers were easier than turtles. Go figure. So here's the deal. At the moment, I have no real plans to review professions at all. We can argue that later, but it's something that's not even in my mind right now, because while professions are stupid, there's another layer, another aspect of professions in WoW, and that is that they split up professions into different into categories and stuff, which I literally can't even show you because this character doesn't have any. But the point is, there's Vanilla, BC, Wrath, Kata, Pandaria, Warlords, Legion, BFA, Shadowlands, Dragonflight, and War Within. All of those are individual buckets of professions, right? Completely isolated in a bubble, all things considered. Like, if you level Kata profession to max, it doesn't change the fact that when you start to go crafting Wrath stuff, you have 0 skill in Wrath profession. Makes sense? Professions are also in a very strange place in WoW, to the point where they are so dynamic that it actually feels pointless to actually review them. Let me try to explain that a little bit. One of the most common arguments that people tend to give for why I shouldn't even bother reviewing something like WoW in general is because too much of it can be thrown out the window. Let me use a made-up example. Let's say I reviewed the classes in vanilla, right? Then BC happens, so that's not a big deal, right? We could adjust that. And so forth and so on. But then, like, Pandaria happens, when they completely changed how the talent system works, and also how the classes worked as a consequence. So all of a sudden, every class point, every bit of review I did for the classes has to be thrown out. It has to be completely thrown out the window. Now, WoW has stabilized in a lot of ways, which is one of the reasons why I feel like it is fair to now go ahead and do a WoW review. But professions are still kind of in that same bundle. Even within War Within, the professions were once again thrown into the mixture and kind of changed up how they were. And of course, we just had a change back in Dragonflight as well. And we had a change back in, I believe it was BFA, was the previous one. And each of those were major changes that would completely throw professions out the window. So, there's that. So what I did was more or less the same thing I did back in FF14. I review the mechanisms and concepts of crafting, but then essentially completely ignore professions past that point. Because it's too dynamic, right? It changes too much, and it becomes invalid and out-of-date content too quickly. I almost guarantee you that if I was to actually sit down and review each of the professions in War Within, it'd be like, all right, here we go, and I just, go down the list on those. And I should also mention, by the way, there's another niggle here. I'll come back to that in just a second. But if I actually did that, there's a pretty good chance that would be thrown out the window the very next expansion. Because all of the things I reviewed about what you can craft with what and where no longer apply. None of that really matters anymore. Like, I could make best in slot gear for War Within, for example. Does that matter as of midnight? Now, I am one of those people who firmly thinks that professions should pick a lane in WoW. I've been told they're actually in a good place in that right now. I have to take people's word on that because I walked away from professions. In BFA, actually, was specifically when I did it. I haven't bothered since then, and frankly, I never will again. That leads me to the second reason I'm not reviewing professions. PFR. Actually sitting down and leveling every profession to max in every expansion violates PFR, in my opinion. It is certainly possible, but given the total lack of benefit in doing so, I don't think it is feasible or reasonable to do so. Now, having said that, again, we can review the mechanisms of things. For example, how the filter works, how the search works, how the actual crafting mat system itself works, how the auction house works, blah, 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 blah. So, professions, yes, there's a few gatherers, there's a bunch of crafters. What each of them does has varied from expansion to expansion. Hang on, let me finish this conversation.
Good day to you.
Here's all the propaganda things. You're an SI-7 agent? Nothing indicated that until this very moment.
See you later. See you around. Have a good one.
What is she doing?
Hello. Safe
on.
travels. See you
Come
around.
on.
How are you?
There we go. I've altered the leaflets you captured from the deserters' mercenary friends at the docks. Now, anyone who reads them will get an entirely different view of the deserters and their aims.
Safe travels.
But, like, the deserters were already arguing for genocide and militarism. Why do we have to alter anything to be convincing that people shouldn't do that? If you type !PFR, Czar, you will get a rather thorough explanation of what that means.
Hello. See you around. Have a good one. See you later.
Fine, I'll go get the bugs, too. Oh, 100%, Yura. That's a good question, Mr. Red. Unfortunately, if I'm going to do that, I have to give that exact same negative to 14. For the exact same reason, no less. Hey, have a leaflet.
What can I do for you? See you around.
Hey, thanks.
Need help? Be careful.
The deserters seek a Theramore where the citizens will be free to juggle at all hours of the day. Establish the official symbol of Theramore as a chicken. Yeah, sure. This is really dumb.
Can I help you?
You need something?
You seem like a sensible druid, friend. Do you remember the glory days of Theramore? Back before Jaina made us give up on the fight against the Horde. Are you sick of being told to stay your blade while the orcs continue to provoke us? Fun fact, the orcs weren't provoking them at all, but that's neither here nor there. Oh my god.
What can I do for you? See you later. You need something?
Ugh. Yep, we could be propaganda, but we could also be, like, really dumb.
Be careful.
Which one do you think we decided to be? Here to fund for the purchase of hair gel. Yeah.
Hey there. See you later. Have a good one.
Now that we've eliminated the deserters from Theramore, it's time to complete the operation. The local contacts have reported the deserters based their operation on a ship moored off a small island southeast of the docks. Arresting their leader should cause the others to give up their will to fight.
Safe travels.
Okay. Can you give a specific example, Blateful? I love how the deserters specifically use a pirate model for a ship, by the way. That's a nice touch. I might have pulled too much. Yeah, let's deal with this. Oh crap. Oh crap. Okay, we're okay. Server going down for a major patch only happens whenever there's a major patch. So, like, you know, every few months. Oh yeah, that's another reason I'm not covering professions, like, at all. Because Guild Wars 2 exists. I am not touching crafting in Guild Wars 2. I'm sorry. It's not happening. I am fully aware of exactly how insane crafting is in Guild Wars 2. I poked my feet into it a few times for looking into getting some legendary stuff. And then I poked my feet right back out of that. Screw that noise. No, it doesn't have the abandonment problem. It just has the slog grind from hell problem. Like, you can go get a vanilla... I forget what they call it. There's actually different terms for that. But, you know, you can get an early on legendary right now. And that's still a legendary. It still counts as a legendary. But
Hello.
As with so many other things in Guild Wars 2, that is a colossal grind. Gavus' request isn't as outlandish as it might sound. With the proper handling, Lady Jenna can return the deserters to the fold. That's her decision, of course. Pleasure working with you. Without your help, I doubt this operation would have gone so smoothly. When I make my report in Stormwind, I'll name you as the one who ended the deserter threat.
Have a good one.
Go and grab that. What? Why is there another quest?
Can I help you?
There's a fellow the locals know as Swamp Eye Jarl. Jarl? Who lives out alone in the swamp. Some time ago, he took over Swamplight Manor after the previous owners disappeared under mysterious circumstances. I'd like to send someone to check up on him every once in a while. He reminds me of my grandfather, you know. Some say he's not quite right in the head.
See you around.
Oh, okay, I'll go check up on him. Yes, Mad Overlord. If you're going to add something to the list, that is all of the donation. It is the only exception to the triple rule, the plural voting rule. Oh, okay.
Salutations.
Good, I can use all the help you can offer. My first priority is to get that lamprey lit.
Goodbye for now.
The old log... Okay, I can't do the voices today, I'm sorry. The old log indicates the lamp was fueled with oil from the threshers that live around here. She wrinkles her nose at the mention of such updated technology. I suppose it's practical, if an elegant solution. The log says the oil taken from the youngest works best.
Alrighty then.
Right off the deeper end. So I just realized I never finished answering Linnera's question. I still don't think I fully understand it, but I'm going to try to answer as best as I can. So obviously, the overwhelming majority of quests are changed because this is Kata, duh, right? There have been precious few exceptions, and it's usually extremely obvious when a quest isn't changed, because the dialogue will be literally wrong, right? Or will reference events that, are in the past, like the quests we just did, for example. In the case of Dustwallow in particular, I decided to go and do my due diligence and double-check the patch log to see when updates were done to the zone, and lo and behold, this is a zone that wasn't touched by Kata. So, no updates during Kata equals none of the quests are different. Oh, the Horde Alliance variants. Oh, that's easy. I can tell you that just by memory. So on the Horde side, the quests that are different are dealing with taking out the Ogre, who is a lazy, slovenly leader of the nearby town. And the Alliance quests that are different are dealing with the Deserters, the quest we just did. That's it. Boom. There's your variants. I can tell you that from memory. I don't need to look that up. It's actually a BC zone, Mr. Red, but yes is the answer to your question. I don't think I've ever had a Christmas party work-related at. The most Christmassy thing any workplace I've ever worked at did was when I used to work at a plant. And what it was they would hand out Christmas hams as everyone was leaving. Now, what's really funny about that is, for the most part, like now you're probably thinking, oh, that's pathetic and terrible, but actually at the time we were really grateful for that. In fact, that's more than a lot of companies do nowadays. Like, that's not a small number of people to be giving out Christmas hams to, you know what I mean? They were good hams. Good morning, Ross. Yeah, in that case, just memory, Linerith. Although it's worth noting that I've been going out of my way to double-check zones as we go. The good WoW Wiki has a list of every quest for every zone in the game, so... But for the most part, memory is the initial guidance. For example, Thousand Needles has no real variance between the two sides. So, sometimes there will be an extremely small amount of variance like we have in this very zone, for example. And that is not enough to do the zone twice. That's the other thing. In order to be able to be willing to do a zone twice, there needs to be a reason to do the zone twice. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. But like, for example, the Borean Tundra, if you remember, That was, we did like chunks of the neutral quests on each side, and then the rest we did the faction-specific content. That way we kind of split the zone up between the two. This is all in-game music, yes.
Hey!
So we got the oil.
You have a great day
It's
now.
amazing what you could find in that old lighthouse. After I lit the lamp, I noticed this book. Dastardly Denizens of the Deep. I think I might swoon if I ever saw one of these. I'm sure it's good for a laugh or two, but I don't have time for reading right now. You know who might enjoy it, though? The fishmonger on the docks, Dirty Michael Crow.
Seeing you.
He collects books. Ugh. Yeah, $200 bonus. Yay! What did management bonus get? Well, do you want to know how much money management just gave themselves? No. The answer is no. Alright, let's see if we can handle 5 at once. These probably aren't as hard as the turtles, though. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, group up. Reapply dots. Apply this. Oh, I actually lost one. Oh shoot. Almost dead. Yeah. Reapply dots. Get some hots going. It's okay. We barely lived with 4, so I'm thinking 5 would have actually been too much. Well, the overwhelming majority of the time, there is no difference between the two, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. Like, obviously, there's the town song for the Alliance in BC, and then the Horde song for the Alliance in BC. Both of them suck, obviously. But, like... Can you name another example of that? So we're going to do 4 again. And let's pop our cooldown for that. Because they're all bleeding. That's part of the problem. Okay. We lived. This is why I laughed when you're like one-shotting rares. I'm like, how the hell are you one-shotting rares? What kind of gear do you have? Jesus. Either way, I review the music in general. I don't care if it's Horde Alliance or I don't know, Twilight Highlands. We're just reviewing music. So I don't really care where the music is coming from or which faction the music's on. All I care about is that there is music.
How are you? See you later.
It's on the buffet act. What'll it be today? The snook is quite good.
Have a good one.
Oh no, that was thoughtful of old Babs to send that over. I don't know if you've leafed through it or not, but there's lots of truth to the tales in the book. Sailors didn't just make all of it up, you know.
Safe travels.
I'm sure you and Babs had a good laugh over the outlandish descriptions and sketches, but have you stopped to consider there might be some truth to the legends? If you listen closely enough, I bet you can hear sailors talk about Tethir, the sea creature the book says lives right here. Of course, you want to know for sure, you can ask Nat Pagle,
See you around.
which I believe is the first actual, real-life chronological introduction of Nat Pagle into the game. I could be wrong about that. Oh, I don't know, Act. I don't think I have a default. I like variety, so it's whatever my mood's at the moment.
How are you? Have a good one.
Hey, Cloden. Okay, if there's a day to skip, it's today. Notice we haven't even left town yet. This is pretty much how the Horde quests do, too, up there in Brackenwall.
Greetings.
Reports from our scouts have recently taken a disturbing turn. They tell of men wearing red Defiance bandanas walking the Dreadmurk shore. Wreckage in the area suggests they may be a survivor of a shipwreck, but our information is limited.
Have a good one.
Okay, we'll look into that in a minute. We actually literally already have the follow-up quest of that turn-in. That's funny. PC quest, am I right? Let me look up something really quick here. That's what I thought. Sorry, I was just double-checking my notes. We didn't review crafting in FF14 in a real fashion, other than what I already mentioned. And I think I'm going to stick by that particular precedence. Sorry, I never actually finished that line of thought. I wanted to double-check my notes on that before I made a decision. Hey, I just got to go to get a quest you've already given me. 558, there you go, boom. The line of thought that we're not reviewing professions, in any real sense of the word. We'll review the mechanisms, the interface, that's it. Anything else is simply infeasible. And for the same general reason. So, for example, right now we have a couple of positives for the interface design of the professions window itself, which is actually very well designed. And a few negatives for the fact that it takes absolutely freaking forever to do bulk crafting. Jesus Christ. Okay, that hurts way more than I thought it would. At the moment, no. But the abandonment negatives have definitely been dragging the whole thing down. I think Kata will eventually get up to a gameplay positive, which will be the first expansion to have a gameplay positive, which makes sense. But, yeah, we're not there yet.
Hey there.
Were you able to track down their leader?
Be careful.
What in the world is precious cargo? The Defiance have done some small-time smuggling, but this seems out of their league. The language of these orders suggests a wealthy or noble patron.
Have a good one.
From the wording of the orders you recovered, it looks like first priority of the Defiance is to locate and secure whatever cargo they possessed. SI-7 has a salvage diver named Ren McGill working out of Theramore. Now let's go find him then.
For the Alliance. Greetings. See you later. For the Alliance. Have a good one.
I hadn't heard anything about that, no. I kind of stopped paying attention to that particular bit of news. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if Intel tries to get into that space. By the way, I'm just going to mostly stay muted for the immediate future. So, FYI. If there's ever a zone to do it in, this is the one.
You need something? Be careful. See you around. See you later. What can I do for you? For the Alliance. See you later. Be careful.
So, spoilers. It turns out that the precious cargo was a person. The Defias were actually transporting a human being. Literally human, I suppose I should say, in this case. Oh good, she's actually up here. I figured she wouldn't be.
Shh, I'm trying to think here.
So, the implications are too great if we're wrong.
It was to study.
Need to survey the island and take a whole brigade of troops to put away there. So, going to do a flyby.
What's happening?
And like is Mirror.
Welcome to Theramore. Have you come to help the Alliance?
A rune circle? Dragon Kid? The Defias have allied with her? The traitor?
Shh, I'm trying to think here.
Perhaps I should explain. I had arranged for a secret summit between Thrall and King Rin here. King didn't even have a name yet, by the way. The king was to travel here by ship in secret, but the ship never arrived, and King Rin disappeared. Your help enabled us to connect the Defias to the mastermind behind the abduction, Onyxia, who was posing as a member of the royal court. Meanwhile, the king managed to escape his captors and returned to Stormwind to deal with Onyxia. I'll send word of what you discovered to the link to the Defias. I was a fool to think them broken at the defeat of Edwin Van Cleef. And King Rin, again, didn't have a name yet, will want to make an example of all who remain.
Welcome to Theramore.
Although Onyxia has been exposed, the Defias who carried out her plan must be punished. Carry word to Stormwind. Sure.
All I ever wanted was to...
Well, yeah, this is back when, like, so in Vanilla, the Defias arc ended really abruptly. But then in BC, the Defias arc pretty much ends here. With the whole Onyxia thing. It wouldn't be until Cata that the Defias arc actually concluded to any real meaningful manner.
Shh, I'm trying to think here.
We'll come back to that. Don't let me forget that, Sarah. Probably. Since very informally actually joined the game in Wrath, that makes sense. Triple negative to voice acting in this case is specifically the inconsistency of the voice acting, not the quality. But, yes, if I give a single voice actor a triple negative, that voice actor is not doing well.
What can I do for you? See you later. Good day to you.
Sure, I'll collect 10 Marsh legs.
Light be with you. For the Alliance.
And I'll kill 10 ghosts. Sure, I like killing 10 ghosts. Hey, what do I got over here? Like, voice acting's a fun one. It kind of depends on the specifics. There's also a lot of debatability. Debatability when it comes to voice acting. Oh man, I know exactly what that says. Look at that. Oh yeah. Zagashna Google Kilaka Maza Thudak blah blah blah. Perfect. Each expansion will get less and less negatives to voice acting. I'm not sure exactly at which point in time. We'll stop giving negatives entirely to voice acting. If I were to guess, probably around Warlords. Warlords of Pandaria, it's going to be one of those two. Because by Legion, we've officially reached the point where voice acting is common enough to remove any such negatives. Tears fall, I believe, Mr. Floyd. I feel like they also played this at Caradero, but that's the point, isn't it? This is your dead area music. As for fighting off ghosts that haunt the region. Well, at the moment, no, Primar. That's what we're here to investigate, after all. Literally, the quest is to get information. I traveled out here to pay Jarl a visit, and it's been a non-stop horror show ever since. There's something seriously wrong here, and I can't be the only one who sees it. Have you seen the ghosts and corpses shambling about the hill? I have a feeling that if anyone knows what happened, it's them. Seek out the husks and spirits and grant them rest through combat. See if we can learn from them before this evil consumes Jarl as well. And we need to get frog legs. And the frogs keep, like, evading, which is really strange. It's the second time that's happened. So the reason we're getting frog legs is because the guy who they're all concerned about getting consumed by the undead says, and I quote, "I like cooking. Good swamp cooking, fried green frog legs and the like. I'm out of legs. The matter's overrun with frogs, though. Giant marsh frogs. Think you'd bring me some of their legs? Nothing to it, just bop them on the head and bring me the legs. And I'll make a stew and stew it up and suck it down and give you some, too. Do you like stew? I like stew." Stew. bad motifs in WoW. I mean, obviously there's the horns. I always feel confused about those ones, Woo. It's like, what exactly do you want me to say here? You already answered your own question. God dang, yep, don't they really evade? Look at that. If music is used to convey story themes, is there any music that doesn't fit where it's shoved? I'm trying to think, because obviously there's the horns. And I'm going to give negatives for the horns when we get there. But I can't think of any others off the top of my head. I feel like there's like one or two somewhere. It's pretty rare. WoW has pretty solid music direction. It's not like FF14. Here's an FF9 song that doesn't belong at all. Boop. Sorry. Mostly poking fun. Oh god, I wasn't even going to talk about machinations. Frickin' machinations. Like, I was actually kinder on machinations in Dawntrail than I probably should have been, because it was so obvious they were leaning into it as a joke. And I tend to be a little bit more tolerant when something is trying to be funny, and succeeding at it. If you're trying to be funny and failing at it, well then screw you. No mercy. Least favorite Final Fantasy OST. For the sake of keeping this simple, let's limit ourselves to 12 and earlier. Because otherwise, the answer is going to be one of the ones after 12. Because there's a lot of FFs after 12 where I actively dislike the soundtrack. To the point where I'd have to actually go and re-listen to it to determine which one I dislike the most. So, 12 and earlier. Okay? So let's talk out our competitors. First of all, we have 3, which finally managed to turn... One of the most common things I said when listening to the Pixel Remaster version of 3 was how shocking it was that some of the songs were actually songs now. That's the level at which they managed to rise up to, was having music. So 3's pretty far up there. 3 has a terrible soundtrack for the most part. Still some good songs, but like just the whole soundtrack is just what? Then we have, if we scooch forward a little bit, the next one I would mention is probably 10-2. I'm not even making a joke about that song at the beginning. Just 10-2 soundtrack in general is not what I would call good music. I get that they were going for a bit of a zany tone and vibe, but a lot of the music in 10-2 just sounds like noise. General noise. It's
Hey there.
thing. Spice. We can all use some spice in our life, don't you agree?
Safe travels.
Ah, there's the spice. Now that's some good swampies too.
Have a good one. See you around.
Okay, hang on.
What can I do for you?
He produces a sheet of paper and pen and begins to scribble down notes on your findings. From your findings, the spirits of this place must amount to everyone who ever lived on this land, not just the previous occupants. Sometimes, something has been corrupting and killing them. Those who follow don't learn the truth until it's too late. We have to put an end to this.
Be careful.
In my years as an herbalist, I've often observed that nature will provide subtle clues to the most vexing of problems. I've read that hedge mages and witch doctors use the smoke of an herb known as witchbane to draw evil from its hiding place. So, Go collect Witchbane.
Go with honor, friend.
How are you? Safe travels.
Well, if I'm being honest, Ross, I don't like FF10's soundtrack all that much. No, it is not, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. It is appropriate for the level if I was, you know, not time walking. But I am time walking, so I'm level 56. But it is not level 56 food. Not bad, I guess. That is not a gameplay negative, no. There's several good songs at FF10, and then there's the Cloister of Trials theme. Okay, fine, die. Tazanarkin's a good song, but you didn't ask me about songs, Ross. You asked me about soundtrack. What the hell is Samarkand? Actually, it sounds familiar, but I can't place it right now. By the way, no. He did, in fact, mean Zanarkand. Even spelled it right.
Hey there. Have a good one.
Eight? I thought about 8. There are several FFs where the soundtrack is kind of lacking, but there's some individual songs that are really good. But, like, the overall gradient quality is something we can track. Like, if you give every song a -10 to 10 score, and then track the average, you can kind of see which one, you know, rates where and why and how.
King's honor, friend.
We're able to gather any of the herb. We must work quickly before whatever evil is behind this infestation consolidates its
Light
hold.
bless you. Go with honor, friend.
Torch is ready. Plant at the docks and face whatever comes forth.
For the Alliance.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Just ripping stuff out of Jarl there. Look, it's not my fault that FF6 just has the best soundtrack. It's a gargoyle. Who or what are you? Whatever, you're about to be dead. I still think FF8 overall has a good soundtrack, personally. But I think that it has... It's when they really started to show some holes in said soundtrack, you know? Like 4, 5, 6, all really, really solid soundtracks. 7's started to have some holes. 8 had several holes. 9 recovered a bit.
Greetings.
Still has holes,
Be
though.
careful.
And then there's 10. It worked. It worked! Jarl and I are in your debt. Now the only remaining problem is my friend's taste in furniture, and I'm afraid that won't be solved as easily. Wah, wah. Yep, that's... Yep, great conclusion to a quest. Well, the good news is 14 is not 12 and earlier, and therefore does not count for this purposes. Yeah, no kidding off the deep end. What? Oh, yeah. Okay.
See you around.
Let's go capture raptors. 9 has songs that literally hurt my ears, so that kind of wins in several respects, you know. I guess Tactics counts. Okay, I'm going to go against the grain here. I really don't like Tactics' music, and I never have. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry at all. But I have never liked FF Tactics' music. I can probably name like a couple of songs I enjoy in Tactics.
Hello.
Is this an escort?
See you
Of
later.
course it's an escort. Oh, this is a rare. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Pay attention. There's only so much water I can drink, Kenix Cow. Of course. I would say no, Morganite. As we've discussed many, many times, WoW... there we go. WoW is more about environmental music. And Final Fantasy is more about not. Of course, there's a frickin' timer. God, I hate quests in the BC era so much. Ugh. So, like, you know, WoW music tends to set the scene. That is to say, the area. Whereas Final Fantasy music tends to be better at setting the moment. What I mean by that is, like, an FF song is usually the kind of song you could picture a specific cutscene in. Whoops, wrong button. A specific cutscene in. Whereas in WoW, a specific song is usually more about setting up the scene of an area, right? Like, if I played... Yeah, hang on. I can actually make my point real quickly. One moment. Okay, today. Alright, so if I play this... So, anybody who's played WoW, you could probably immediately picture the region, right? And this song does a great job of conveying the tone of the Storm Peaks, right? Like, we discussed this when we were there. The horns, the music, the choir, all of it tells the story of the Storm Peaks. By contrast, And you feel how that's much more about a scene, right? Even if you have never played this game before, which most of you probably haven't, you can feel how this is far more a moment that's happening, rather than an area, right? That's just one of the big variances. Final Fantasy also tends to do things like character songs. So, for example, and surely I have an example right off the top of my head. Of course I don't. Hang on. Let's go to this playlist. So, for example,
Can I help you? Have a good one. For the Alliance. You need something? See you around. See you later. Be careful.
and once again, you can kind of feel how, even if you don't have context, this just sounds like a character theme, right? This is a scene that plays for a person. You don't see that kind of thing in a while. And yeah, motifs is an interesting thing that Final Fantasy tends to lean into a lot. Speaking of which, I'm already tired of the music here, so let's just switch to just, you know, something foresty. That'll do.
What can I do for you? Have a good one.
Now that we've captured the raptors, next job is to encourage them to attack the Grim Totems. I've got a leftover haunch of... doesn't matter what it is. It'll be your bait. Set it down on the ground near the windmill. Okay.
Be careful. See you later.
Yeah, but like, does Thrall have a theme, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton? Arthas does, which is funny, because it doesn't even play in the game. Anduin does, I think. I have to take your word on that. I don't actually remember any theme for Jane off the top of my head. How about Velen? Does he have a theme? Or Illidan? Or Khadgar? How about Lord Walker Cho? Does he have a theme? I suppose I'm willing to be wrong here, but you guys are telling me these themes exist, and I'm not sure I believe you, because I can't picture any such theme anywhere. I think you're lying to me. Why would you lie to me? So, yeah, like, Sylvanas apparently has a theme? I really have no such memory of any such things. I think I pulled too many. Oh, yeah, that knockback's gonna cost me. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. That was a little close. I'm just gonna have to agree to disagree with you on this one. I'm sorry. Sure, they have themes. I believe you. Anyway, so Final Fantasy has strong emphasis on character themes, to the point where those themes are actually a major point of how they do cutscenes and how they approach music direction. Generally spoken, we tend to get those themes at moments of significance or relevance with regards to the story. And WoW, I have to believe you that character themes exist at all, because I have no memory of them existing. So, sure. Like, again, I could just go back to Final Fantasy here for a second. Like, when I think Rydia, or when I think of, well, I don't know, this random character. Or just another random example. Whoops. Hang on. Screwed up on me. There we go. Thank you, Kira White Noise. Always appreciate. Give me a moment. That's sort of my point, Esmeralda Star. I will acquiesce to the idea that, wow, character themes exist. I have to take your word on that. But I will acquiesce to that being a truth. Hard Space, Shipbreaker, Neo, and Homeworld. But FF is and always has put far more emphasis on them. Well, I don't have that, I don't think. I'm gonna double check my local files here. That's, you say it's in BFA, you mentioned that earlier. Excuse me, it's actually in Pandaria. I was gonna say, this sounds a lot like Anduin's theme to me, but, you know. Yeah, maybe this is like the human theme? I don't know. I will admit I recognize this one, although not from Legion, but from War Within. And I suppose that's my overall point, too. Even if you argue characters have, oh, here comes the Raptors, themes in WoW, they don't associate the characters with the themes in any real level, at least not until recently. Whereas, by contrast, it's always extremely obvious in a Final Fantasy game when a specific song is someone's theme. To use a more modern example of that, FF14, Estinian. The moment Estinian shows up, Estinian's song starts playing, and you know that that's his song. Just boom, right out the gate. That happened in Stormblood, to use a specific example. You remember that? When he just popped in out of nowhere and was like, hey, bum 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 bum. Like, I'm sorry, nothing you can say can convince me that WoW does character themes the same way that Final Fantasy does character themes. Because they don't. That's fair, Robostal. I will admit that I tend to think of them as not existing, though. Even now, and I stand by that. But I will acquiesce the point because I don't feel like arguing it. Like, I would argue that as recently as... Well, let's go with War Within, is when they really started dipping their toes into actually having proper usage of character themes. Because... like that Jaina song that was playing earlier, that's just a town song. It sounded immediately recognizable, but it's just a song that plays when you're in certain areas of towns. I had no idea that was supposed to be associated with Jaina. To use one example. Oh yeah, when Song of the Wind plays, you know who's relevant there, Garaha. Yeah, y'all think I'm just bashing WoW music, but what I'm doing is actually the exact opposite. What WoW does very, very well is area music. Music that sets I don't care, Mr. Floyd. You win. I let it go. Moving on. But like they set the scene, or no, not the scene, the opposite of the scene, the region. I could pick a random song from here, like this one. And you know exactly what this is. Because it's an area. Or at the very least... or, I don't know why I said at the very least. God. Or like this. Now, here's the really funny part. FF also does area themes better than WoW. No, hear me out for a second. That's actually me being facetious. What FF actually does is they do area zones different than WoW. So WoW usually has, like, zone songs, right? FF14 has zone songs, but FFs in general don't have zone songs. They have town songs. So when you hear something like, random example, you know exactly where this is. But there is no regional music in Final Fantasy IX. There is just each individual town has their own songs, and then they have the overworld. And that's part of the structural difference, which is what I'm trying to call attention to here. WoW doesn't have an overworld in the strictest sense of the word, whereas Final Fantasies don't have regions in the strictest sense of the word. So, of course, the musical approach there is different.
Can I help you? For the Alliance.
Yeah, FF14 does have regional music, and
See you around.
I don't like it that much, to be honest with you. I know that's apocryphal, but there's very few FF14 regional musics that I actually enjoy, and most of them loop very badly. In fact, most of them don't loop at all. they just stop and then they start again.
You need something? Have a good one. Safe travels.
Oh my god, why do your quests keep going? Why am I still in this goddamn zone?
See you later. See you around.
Ugh.
Safe travels. Have a good one.
Yeah, plus FF14 regional music tends to be only like 2 minutes long, which doesn't sound like a bad deal, but when you consider that every 2 minutes in a zone you're spending hours in, it loops badly, it gets really jarring at a certain point, right? Like, to use a random example here, hang on. Of course they're all named. I don't know the frickin' names. There we go. So this is a regional song in FF14. I'm gonna let the whole song play because I want to make a point. This is a regional song, Mr. Floyd. I mean, if you're listening to this, it sounds like a town song, doesn't it? Like how Final Fantasies would usually approach that kind of music. Doesn't it just sound like a town you're going through? Sorry, I had a coughing fit in the middle, but then it just loops. Just like that. And that's awful, right? I will also admit most FF14 regional music doesn't really sound memorable to me, personally. In general. I mean, I struggle to think of specific regional songs in 14 that really jump out at me. There's a few. I'm not saying there aren't. But yeah, WoW also cheats in a way that not everyone's fully familiar with. And you have to give me a second to actually find the damn song. Oh my god. Did I put it here? Here we go. Okay, so. So, it's probably not immediately obvious, but I let it play for at least 1 second, one internal loop there. Because what you're listening to is a song I actually made. This is me stringing together all of the Ice Crown music in a way that makes sense. Because there's no one song for Ice Crown. It's not how WoW programs its music. Instead, there's little clips, usually about 30 to 45 seconds long. And they play, and then they stop. Now, if you actually have an option here in audio that says loop music, then it'll immediately play the next one, right? It'll play the next song in the sequence. But yeah, exactly, Dakota. Like that's the way they approach it. So when you have music playing in game and on loop, you tend to hear just one loop, then another. That's why I had to manually string these together to make one song, because there's no one Ice Crown song. There's like 15, and that's just how WoW does music. And this, once again, gives you the idea of how they approach regional music. Because a lot of the music in WoW is exactly that. Like earlier I played for you a bit of Storm Peaks, but that was only one Storm Peaks song of like 12. Make sense? I've only composited together a couple of them. Like I did Zoldrak, Dalaran, and Ice Crown. I mostly did it as an experiment to see if I could do it. So, like, for example... Paying attention, the first song just ended right there.
Hey there. See you around. See you later. Have a good one. What can I do for you? See you around. Good day to you. See you later. Safe travels.
Okay, so, point being, I have always found it to be an interesting approach. Back in the day, the way that they looped music was they made it so that the song files were being played live. In other words, the engine's the wrong word, the console was actually playing the music. And the song file was just a sequence of instruments and at which point in time to play them and variables, effects, and on them and blah, 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 right? Makes sense. In other words, there was no MP3. There was no pre-existing recording of a song. There was a sequence of instructions for the console to then play the song. The reason that's important for the sake of this discussion is because it meant it was very easy to loop. There's no real issues getting a song to loop when you just have looping instructions built into the song. And since it's playing it on the fly, we're good, right? By contrast, WoW is using MP3s, or actually OGGs, I think, but it doesn't really matter. Point being, WoW is using pre-existing files. You can't loop a pre-existing file. It doesn't work that way. In fact, I'm pretty sure FF14 does the same thing. So, the solution they came up with was actually pretty clever. Instead of having one song for a section or a region or whatever, they have several. And it just plays them in kind of a sequence, depending on if you have looping music on or not. Yeah, something like Spore does something similar to that. Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. It's one of the reasons I had the hardest time actually procuring Spore music for the longest time, because there's no such thing. Spore music doesn't actually exist. It's just an algorithm that plays music more or less dynamically on the spot. So the way I finally came up with to record some Spore music was I just pointed a microphone at the game and let the game play for a while. Actually, yeah, Mr. Red. Same arrow, too, I think.
What can I do for you? See you later. See you around. Have a good one.
Yeah, procedurally generated music. It was the thing for a while there. I don't think anybody really does it anymore. Don't quote me on that. I'm sure there's someone somewhere who does that who I'm just not aware of.
See you later, for the Alliance.
I'm ready. I'm ready to take down Tether. Oh yeah, Tether's a Leviathan, by the way. There's actually two Leviathan types in this game. One looks like that, and the other looks like a squid. I don't know why they're both called Leviathan. Don't ask me. No, Yura. I can think of RPGs where you play as a mouse, but not MMOs. Die, monster. Oh, we got him. Yay.
Hey there.
Woo.
What can I do for you?
Well done. I admit when I first caught a glimpse of that beast, I had doubts about our ability to defend the docks, but you held together brilliantly. I don't think I get credit for that, but thanks.
Have a good one.
All I did was fly around and shoot the cannons you yourself could have done. I don't think I fought the thing at all.
You need something? See you later. For the Alliance.
Got it. We've got orcish spies.
Have a good one.
I don't think I've had that issue. Listen to me.
Good day to
I
you.
think I've had that
Safe travels.
experience, Robostall, so I can't speak to that.
Need help? Be careful. Go with honor, friend. Light bless you.
Okay, what's this spy report say? You're not going to tell me, are you?
What can I do for you?
Of course you're not. What's this game? This zone, I should say. You notice I just kind of stopped reading some of this stuff out loud. It's because there's nothing to read. In so many of these cases, it's like, yep. Yeah, the good news is we finished 2 of the quest hubs. The bad news is we've got 3 left. Well, 2 left, and a chain. Let's do the chain last. It's the closest thing to an MSQ this stupid zone even has. I hate Dustwallow so much. This is the last time I'll ever have to do it. It'll be great.
You need something? Be careful. Farewell. Safe travels.
Hello. See you around.
During the last Grim Totem, I like how they all just casually talk about the Grim Totem. Please keep in mind, nobody explains who or what the Grim Totem are here. There's a bunch of Grim Totem, and they're attacking, and that's it. I was wounded, but not before I managed to capture a curious totem our enemies are using against us. It seems to be emitting raw bolts of energy during the battle. I haven't been able to figure out how it works. Okay.
Have a good one. Safe travels.
Also, someone stole our reagents.
See you later.
Okay.
How are you? Safe travels.
Kill 12 Grim Totem. Could you give me this quest when I was already in the Grim Totem area? Killing Grim Totem?
Have a good one.
That is my 3rd vector quest for the goblins. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, this zone was just kind of, huh? Because remember, historically, this came out in the middle of BC. In fact, let's look up the exact patch. Let's double check our numbers here. So this would have been 2.3. That was the Zulaman pack when they added the Zulaman raid. Yep, one patch before Sunwell. Yeah, no, that tracks. So yeah, anyways, negatives to story is what I'm trying to say here. Let's just jot this down here. No, that doesn't surprise me at all, believe it at all. Oh, speaking of which. Speaking of you not agreeing with me on things. So, I was chewing on your question earlier. This is a good time as any to talk about it, especially since the hammering has stopped for the moment. What is it that hooks me about FF9's intro? Now, obviously, FF9's intro is not particularly good from a gameplay perspective. I will never argue that. The first time that actually does anything good on a gameplay perspective is the Ice Caverns, which is like, even if you're, kind of pushing a little bit, it's like an hour and a half into the game. So that's a no. But what is it that hooks me about the narrative? I think one of the first things that hooked me about it is it's probably the best in medias res that we've ever seen in an FF intro. And they like in medias res a lot. Like FF4 and FF6 are two other examples of exactly doing that, of just starting in the middle of the action and then getting the player caught up as they go, right? But in FF9, it's very, very clearly a lot of these people already know each other and already have pre-existing connections to each other, and there's a lot of things going on that we just don't know yet. We don't even find out about the thing with, I guess I shouldn't spoil this for you. There's stuff we don't find out about. Wow, I have not gotten a single drop. These drop rates are great. We don't even find out a lot about, like, why these people are here to kidnap Princess Garnet for hours into the game. Like, towards the later end of Disc 1, I would say. Give or take. Maybe about the middle part of Disc 1. And, we don't understand, what's going on with Garnet, why she's leaving the town, why she wants to flee, what's going on with Vivi, why he's here to see this stupid thing, what's gigantic tree is stuck up Steiner's butt, like there's a whole lot of question marks there. All of those questions are answered throughout the course of FF9, but that's the hook. Let me try to explain this in a different way. The concept of the cold open is something I talk about a lot, because a good cold open is a whole art form in and of itself. And in general, you could break down every cold open into one of two categories. Something that's designed for people who already are fans of a work, and something that's designed to hook brand new viewers, or players, as the case may be. FF9's is definitely the latter. It's not there for FF fans or people who know what's going on, it's there for people who are brand new to the series. And what it does, rather expertly in my opinion, is it establishes all of those question marks without being too overt about it, and without being too winking at the audience about it. While FF9 certainly has some dialogue issues, most of those are not in the intro. Most of the stuff in the intro is pretty solidly, hey, this is how these people actually would be talking with each other and interacting with each other. There's very, 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 very few, as you know moments. There's very little stuff where it's like, hey, pop this here. There's very few moments where it's like, it sounds like they're talking for the sake of the audience. Instead, they are talking to each other the way they naturally would. And so there's this kind of slow, gradual development of what's going on. And the intro does a pretty good job of slowly getting you into this line of things. For example, when you first land into the forest, there's not this moment where they turn to the audience and say, did you know that this forest is cursed because mist exists here? And here's what mist is. Instead, all they do is everyone talks about it as if it's this big, terrifying thing, without really clarifying. Point in fact, we won't really find out what mist is until about Disc 2. But everyone's afraid of it. So we get the necessary exposition and presentation pretty early on. And indeed, in the moment, the only thing we need to know is it's bad that they're below the mist line. In fact, the visuals even convey the fact that there is a mist line. That there's above the mist and below the mist. That's even mentioned in the Ice Caverns, if you remember. There's this point where they go up prop and you can say, hey, the sun's clear. You could tell we've gotten above the mist. Stuff like that, right? It's all very naturally... I'm in the quagmire. It's all very naturally exposited, and it feels like something they would actually be saying. Does that explain it, Blade? I'm probably doing a really, really bad job of conveying this. But suffice to say, FF9 is going to get a whole bunch of story positives to its intro when we get there. Also, I love that this place is called the Quagmire, right next to the other Quagmire. Oh, kill me, Lita Fairy. Kill me. Just do it. End my misery. Be my angel. My favorite intro? 4's is very strong. Let's talk this out for a second, shall we? So, first of all, and this is partially answering the other thing Blade Toll asked. To me, a good intro needs to be good on both axes. And there's, for the most part, an intro is just another aspect of story, right? But there's a couple of things that it needs to do very, very well. Yeah, exactly, Phlogiston. FF9 does what FF13 didn't, is a really great way to put that. I know, Lita Fairy, it's so crap. I know it's a Marsh, but god dang. Anyways. This zone sucks, too. Like, you love this drop rate? I'm at 3 of these stupid things so far. So a truly good intro has to have good both, right? But what does an intro do that nothing else does? On the story axis, it has to establish. There needs to be some reason that we know what's going on to some extent or another. And from a gameplay axis, it has to tutorialize. So we understand what kind of game we're playing and how to play it. Those are the really, really big, important things that an intro has to do that kind of don't really matter as much when it comes to other aspects of the game. So, the two big ones in the FF series for me are FF4 and FF6. Both of those do a very good job of tutorializing, getting across how the game plays, getting across what kind of encounters you'll have, boss design, dungeon design, you know, leveling, progression, etc. All that stuff. Both of them do some good stuff. But they both do it in very, very different ways. So let's talk purely gameplay for a second. In FF4, you effectively watch an extended cutscene for the intro. But then immediately afterwards, you're put into a town section, which is very unusual of a thing for any video game to do, is to start off with a town section. If you played any RPG, you know that there's three general categories of gameplay. There's, you know, your combat, your dungeon. Wrong. There's your dungeon, there's your town, and then there's your boss battles, right? And overworld. I don't know why I said town. God, I am so tired. I'm sorry. Town, overworld, dungeon. Dungeon is heavily focused on combat. That's your bosses, that's your enemies, that's your progression, that's your leveling. Overworld is more exploratory, trying to convey distance, travel, and just serving as kind of a breather downtime sequence. Towns are usually fairly heavily exploratory as well, and even though most town sections tend to lean towards story, there's still stuff to do gameplay-wise in towns. There's your inventory management, buying and selling new stuff, you know, getting secret items, or doing little mini quests and mini games, stuff like that, right? And that's your big three when it comes to gameplay. So FF4 starts with a town sequence. You go through the Castle Baron. And as you're going through, it very carefully conveys there's secret side areas, there's treasure chests, which you can find, which it teaches about that. You talk to people and they give you an idea of what's going on story-wise, but also give you concepts of how to play the game and where the game's going. We understand how rest state works. We understand how some of the vendoring stuff works, all that kind of stuff. So we start off with the town sequence. Then immediately after that, we go into an overworld sequence. We can also go back to the other town at that point, but it's optional. We don't have to. Which is another fun thing. One second. There we go. So I'm going to skip the optional thing for just a second. So instead, you do an overworld sequence. The overworld sequence doesn't have much as far as explorativeness, but it does convey what an overworld sequence is. We have a little bit of maneuverability. There's a chocobo forest nearby we can find. There's a couple of optional enemies nearby. And then there's the cave, which leads us to the dungeon sequence. The dungeon is a very bog-standard dungeon, but it's a very tutorialized dungeon. It is exactly what a dungeon should be, a first dungeon. In fact, even the first boss, the Mist Dragon, is very much a, hey, here's the very basics of tactics of bosses. And it is a very basic boss. It is a red light, green light boss. But it's something, right? It is conveying the idea of, doing something other than fighting an enemy that just has a higher stat block than a trash pile. So that's FF4's intro. Effectively ends once you take care of the Mist Dragon. Cool. Good stuff, and it does everything very solidly. It's very simple, but it does everything that it's trying to do effectively, and it's a good game for people who have never played an RPG before, especially an FF game. Then we cut to FF6. FF6 starts with a Hyper Beam moment, of all things. Now, that's primarily a narrative thing. The majority of the reason behind starting off with the Hyper Beam moment is to convey just how far behind the curve everyone else is. We actually start off playing as the enemy, and we see exactly how strong the enemy is because we are them, and we are absolutely running over everything roughshod, right? No matter what they throw at you, and they throw large packs of soldiers and beasts at you, and it doesn't even scratch the paint, right? You just absolutely bulldoze through everything, even if you don't know what you're doing. And they give you tons and tons of abilities to use, most of which are just there for flavor and fun, because you can just use one ability and absolutely demolish everything if you feel like it. Immediately after this is a dungeon, which is a strange direction to go in, but it works. I am targeting the wrong person. Could you stop stunning me so I can finish killing you, please? Wow, that's a long stun. The dungeon is aggressively linear, but it once again does have little side paths which have treasure, and that treasure is actually pretty rewarding at that point in the game. You're also not completely on the back foot, but the power difference between you in the armor and you just wandering through the dungeon by yourself is gargantuan, which is important. You're literally doing about 1/10 of the damage you were doing in the armor. And once again, that helps to convey the direction you're going to be wanting to get in eventually, and what you're facing as the enemy. Immediately after that, we have the first battle sequence, the first of only 2 battle sequences in the entire game. That's just a cool, fun little thing. And it's a great way to kind of cap off a dungeon, because that's functionally the dungeon boss. Not the guy at the end of the battle sequence. The whole battle sequence itself is kind of the dungeon boss, and that's actually a really cool way to do it. So even though we actually had a red light, green light boss earlier, that was Welk, we had no problems with him. We were in the Magitek armor. We crushed him like a bug. The real first boss in FF6 really is that battle sequence. Immediately after this, we go to an overworld sequence, which leads us to our first real town. Now, we could argue when exactly FF6's intro ends, because that's actually kind of debatable, but most people would agree it ends right about at Figaro or South Figaro, one of the two. True, late of all. So we'll go ahead and cut it off at Figaro, but Figaro, once again, does everything that a town should. It's got side areas, it's got lore, it's got loot, it's got vendors, so you can actually figure out what to buy and where, and you're encouraged to explore it. And you're rewarded for doing so, as my voice gets croakier and croakier, good lord. So both FF4 and FF6 have very solid gameplay intros. One moment, please.
You need something?
You literally just want me to kill this guy so you could have privacy.
See you later.
You had me go kill Grim Totem so you could have privacy. Oh my god.
Hey there. Safe travels. See you around. Have a good one. See you around. See you later. Safe travels.
This guy literally just
Have a
wants
good
me to
one.
get,
See you later.
wanted me to go grab reagents to replace the ones. Alright, whatever. So, hang on. Now let's rewind and talk about story. FF4 starts very in medias res. In fact, both of these games do.
Welcome, friend. Have a good one. Keep it real. Be good if
Okay.
you ever need anything. Pleasure doing business with ya.
You know, that's a fair point, Matt Overlord. I can't disagree. So, FF4's story starts off after the big raid, which was actually a very bold choice. I prefer the versions where they don't have subtitles for what's happening prior to in the flashback. So instead, always see... Sorry, I don't remember what it stands for literally, but it's when you're starting in the middle of a story. So, for example, in FF4's... Actually, I would say FF13 is pretty in medias res. Then again, FF9 is very... Anyways, point being, yeah, you start in the middle of the story. You start in the middle of the action. Square is kind of in love with that concept. They do it a lot. Not always as well. Anyways, so 4 and 6 both start this way. So in 4's case, we start after the big raid. Again, this is kind of a brave choice. They don't start with the big raid. They start in the immediate wake of it. The first thing we hear is that all of the troops there who participate in the raid are not particularly happy about doing it. The captain himself says that they have no reason to question the king. But it's clear based on his animation, because the animation of FF4 is weirdly good, that he himself also has reservations about what they just did. So you are part of a force that has just participated in a morally questionable raid on a foreign power. You've got a little bit of politics, you've got a little bit of character. Then you're attacked by random monsters, and that's strange because the level of monsters has just been going up lately. Tiny little hook there. We get back to town, we turn things in, everything's cool. The king is questionable, and the king's main man, he's a little bit eyebrow-raising. He seeds some poison into the king's ear about us, and so when we go up, the king immediately accuses us of treason the moment we question him at all. Of course I can't. Can I get the buff, please? God, this freaking quest. I remember this stupid quest. Alright. So the king accuses us of treason, strips us of our command, and then sends us off on what is functionally an errand to prove our loyalty. Now, we're having issues with that, but obviously we are very, very invested in proving our loyalty because, I mean, this guy is our king, and our lord, and our adoptive father. We care. Yeah, he also wasn't really questioning the king. Like I said, the king just clamps down on that way too early and way too hard. Again, we're probably inclined to think that it's because of Bagan on a first playthrough. At least that's what I was thinking. I don't know about anybody else. Anyways, we then meet our first party member, who's obviously a friend, but also kind of a rival friend, so that's cool. We meet our love interest, who we've been in a relationship with for some time. We don't actually know how long, and it doesn't matter. And then we get our mission to head out. Nothing really happens narratively-wise until we get to the cave itself, where the boss of the cave constantly tells us to piss off. We say no. We have to accomplish our mission. It is our objective to go through here. And the boss is constantly like, no, I cannot let you reach the town. That leads to us killing the boss, which then leads to the events of the town. Now, that's getting past the purview of the intro. But you see that in the intro, while it is pretty strong gameplay-wise, it's actually not quite as strong narratively. It's still strong. We've got character establishment of 3, or arguably 4, separate characters. We have a little bit of political intrigue. We've got some hints that something's going on in the world, just like something in general is wrong with the monsters. And we also start to see how it's affecting people and how people are adapting to and changing it. We also get the impression that this is something that's been escalating lately. Things have started getting bad recently. End intro.
Interesting. Hurry back. Be careful out there. Glad I could help. Have a good one. Be careful out there.
That is now our 4th No, nope, that is still... Sorry, that's still our third vector quest to Mudsprocket. They really wanted us to go to Mudsprocket, didn't they? Holy crap. So FF6. FF6 once again starts in medias res. We start off in the middle of 2 Imperial soldiers and a woman who doesn't say anything, who have been given a task to go claim something called an Esper. Apparently an intact Esper, which is apparently quite rare, and worth noting it actually is very rare. So, okay. Then we get a sub from Pokemibo. That's the best part about FF6's intro. Thank you for that sub, Pokemibo, as always. One moment, please. Look, this zone sucks, Magister. I don't know what you want with me. I knew it sucked walking into it, but I have been reinforced just how much this place sucks. Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, done. Oh. There's not even anything interesting going on gameplay-wise. Excuse me. Screw it. Let's just get Convoke. Convoke is just too good. Hang on, let's pick up all these. Let's see if there's anything interesting in any of these quests.
Glad I could help.
Here's all our vector quests.
Hurry back. Keep it real.
And yeah, none of those directly chained. Of course they don't. Kill a named. Okay, cool. I can do that.
Interesting.
Okay.
Glad I could help.
Get herbs for medicine. Okay, I can do that.
I am listening.
That's a... Wow, that's a vector quest for 1,000 needles. Wait, what? Oh, okay. So we're getting raptor feathers for a ritual, herbs for medicine, and killing a named, and that's it so far. Cool. Everlook is Winter Spring, isn't it? Yep, right there. Where the hell was I? Alright, so, we start off with the soldiers. They're going to try and capture a live Esper. We don't actually know what an Esper is, but that we don't need to, because they convey everything we need to know pretty much right off the bat. That it's rare, and that it's something they want very badly. They also mentioned that the person who's with us is mind-controlled at the moment, and also a terrifyingly dangerous person, whoever the hell they are. We don't know much about her. In fact, we don't know anything about her, including her name. But all that's conveyed right off the bat. We have the cool shot of them walking into the town, and that then leads to them pushing through the town. This is the Hyper Beam moment I mentioned earlier, which, again, is primarily a story moment. It just shows how extraordinarily powerful 3 people in Magitek armor are. 3 people managed to successfully take out, like, the entirety of the defenses of an entire city. And that conveys exactly how outgunned everyone else is compared to the Empire's Magitek arsenal. Cool. I'm with all of that. We get in there, we fight the boss. The boss is a joke. It's a red light, green light boss. And shortly thereafter, we find the Esper itself. Now, usually I kind of roll my eyes at this kind of thing, but I like how after, completely running through the entire town, the Esper itself effortlessly kills the 2 soldiers and the majestic armor attached to them. Kind of does so by accident, too, as we find out later. Yeah, we already did Ashara. It was the first one we did after the goblins, I think. This leads to us waking up, finding out that we have amnesia, and we're still trying to struggle with everything, and we just need to get out of town fast, because nobody here understands that we had amnesia. They think we're an Imperial soldier who was with them, and that makes sense. Even if those people rationally understand that we were being mind-controlled, they probably don't care, because they probably want revenge. So we need to bail. We spend quite some time running through the aforementioned dungeon, and periodically throughout said dungeon, or throughout this sequence, the troops are catching up to us. We finally take a tumble and get a flashback where we see a few key moments from Terra's past. Each of these is shown without context, but none of them needs context. The first one we see is Kefka putting the slave crown on her. And that's one of the... no, Mr. Floyd Pickerton. Why would that be a gameplay negative? No, yeah, tell you what. We'll give a gameplay negative because they don't let us fire the cannon. I'll agree with that. First thing we see is Kefka putting the slave crown on her. Also our first real introduction to Kefka. What immediately happens after that is we see Kefka encouraging her to burn troops. The thing is, those are Imperial troops. So again, while we don't have context, we don't need it. Kefka, an Imperial agent, is forcing us, now an Imperial agent, to murder Imperials in order just to test our power, just to showcase what we can do. And this also comes back and references an event that happened earlier, where one of the soldiers that was with us, I forget if it was Biggs or Wedge, flat out says, I heard that she torched several of our magic armors in just a few minutes. You remember that? So, here's the incident where that actually happened. Finally, we have a shot that was very heavily inspired by World War II Nazi Germany, where Emperor Gestahl declares that... someone named Emperor Gestahl declares that they're going to find this new great power and use it to enslave the world. All of that does a great job of establishing Terra, Kefka, Gestahl, and the Empire, and it doesn't need any additional context to do it, because all the context is right there on the screen. This then leads to Locke showing up, which also serves as a bit of a levity moment after that heavy-hitting stuff. So we've already got good narrative pacing, too, on top of everything else. So the levity moment has Locke, I'm a treasure hunter, gosh darn it. And then there's this part where Locke is really not enthused about the idea of saving Terra because she's just a magic-riding witch. However, once he finds out that she's in danger and that she's got mind issues, he's like the moment Locke hears that Terra has memory issues, he's like, okay, I will immediately jump into this. Without hesitation. Which, of course, makes perfect sense. And once again, we won't find out why until quite a bit later. Fuck, I really wanted that. Why are these so much weaker than everything else? Like, the turtles earlier were hurting more than these raptors. This is weird. Well, then you are a smarter person than I, Blacheval, because none of those occurred to me to be default answers when I was going through it. Next zone will be 1,000 Needles. This whole zone is just weird. And terrible.
Time is money, friend.
Here's your stupid herbs. And here's your claw.
Glad I could help!
Yeah, they've loved that concept since forever. Arguably, FF1 does that, too. Like, I know that's getting debatable, but still. Yeah, we'll actually have some crap to discuss when we get to 1,000 Needles. Like, right now, all we're doing is fighting some black dragons who ran in, took over this mound right here. This is an ogre mound right here. The black dragons moved in and took it over, and so this ogre is like, hey, please help us retake it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it could be Blade of All. I don't know. Like I said, I'm rather fond of FF9's intro, narratively. I'll never argue that it's weak on the gameplay axis. We can talk about that in a minute. But anyways, let me get back to FF6. Because we still haven't hit the end of the intro. So after we have our levity moment with Locke, Locke goes down, sees the friendly Marsh troops who are desperately trying to get Terra, and he's like, well, shoot, now what? That's when the Moogles show up. This then, once again, leads to the battle sequence, which is cool, as we already discussed. God, this stuff is so easy. Why are dragons and raptors so easy, and turtles and crabs are hard? Anyways. Sorry. Really? And that, so we win the battle sequence. That's mostly a gameplay thing, like I said. By the end of it, Locke gives thanks to the Moogles. Peace is out. Terra has, reveals her memory thing. Locke freaks out about that a little bit more, and immediately vows to protect her the moment he finds out. I'm sorry, I actually screwed up my order of events. I apologize. Here's where he finds out that she's lost her memory, and this is where he vows to protect her no matter what. Like, he's ready to go. My God, it makes so much sense. So I'll race him. The freaking carapaces. This leads to Figaro. Figaro's a great moment and establishing thing for a lot of things. We see Edgar's surface mask. We also see several of Edgar's actual thoughts and perspectives on the matter. We find out about the Returners and the fact that they are in opposition to the Empire. We find out a little bit more about Kefka and his predilections. And we also find out more about magic and about Sabin and about Terra herself, who is still struggling with trying to understand pretty much anything that's going on here. And once again, that's pretty much the end of the intro, so we'll stop there. But you see how there's a whole lot of really, really strong stuff there. Which, of course, leads me to answering Ross's question, finally. Ross has long since stopped watching the stream. He doesn't give a crap. He's out. I don't blame him. I wouldn't watch me either. But in answer to Ross's question, I think when you really line the two side by side like there, FF6 just crushes FF4. Don't mistake me, FF4 is a strong intro. FF6 has an extremely good intro. It fires on all cylinders in pretty much all ways. But then I was asked about Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is a very unusual intro. So it starts with a town sequence. And in Chrono Trigger, town and overworld are kind of the same thing. They don't really have an overworld to speak of in Chrono Trigger, so that's just not really a thing they do. Instead, you just start off, and you have access to 2 continents and 2 towns, technically 3 towns, worth of areas you can just go and talk to. There's gameplay, tutorial-y stuff, there's hidden treasures, there's vendoring, NPCs which sell and buy stuff. You get hints of stuff in the future, like, for example, there's that one guy who went to the castle, he hasn't come back yet, it's so weird. There's all kinds of things to do. Like, there's a strangely large amount to do, and 99% of it is optional. And as weird as it sounds, I think that's one of the strengths of Chrono Trigger's intro, is that the overwhelming majority of it is completely optional. Okay. We're about to summon ogre ghosts to attack black dragons. Yeah, Chrono Trigger is a very optional game. Alright. Wait, did I just get 26 gold? I did, yeah, 25 gold and 26. So they scale the gold. Yeah, who's this jackass who's selling gold for way too much? There's a lot of foreshadowing in Chrono Trigger's intro. And a lot of it makes, it isn't even actually properly foreshadowing. It is Babylon 5 effect. There's a lot of Chrono Trigger's intro that makes more sense the second time around and is completely changed in terms of context. Like, for example, if you agree to sell the necklace to Melkor, his reaction is like, whoa, I can't buy that. And that's just weird. And you probably assume that it's just a video game telling you not to sell a key item. But actually, no, that's a plot point. Like an actual honest-to-goodness plot point. But that only really makes sense the second time around, right? Anyways. But yeah, so tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of optional town/overworld content. I would go so far as to say that if we're to break it up into the typical 3 structure, the first thing you start off with is overworld. When you can just roam around and talk and explore and interact and all that fun stuff. And then the second thing you do once you actually go to the Millennium Fair is town. Even though it's a fairground, it does function as a typical town gameplay, right? You've got your mini games, you've got your NPCs to talk to, you've got your vendors, right? That's town gameplay to a T. So, overworld and then town. And again, all of that's optional. You can get some gear, so you can get some good gear there too. And there's a bunch of mini games to have fun with and participate in, all of which are optional. Then the plot kicks off, and we're dumped into a very threadbare dungeon. Like, I wouldn't even call it a dungeon. It's just a very quick, hey, here's combat, on the off chance you've been skipping it up until now. So that's your tutorial for how combat works. Immediately after that, we have another overworld sequence, during which serves primarily a narrative purpose of, hey, here's what's happened and here's how you have to adjust to it. That then leads us to another town sequence, where we find out our initial and immediate goal. I'm trying to skip over spoilers at this point, because I just realized I probably shouldn't spoil these things. Sorry. Yeah, no, Gato is actually a great tutorial. Go figure. Chrono Trigger is weirdly well constructed. That leads us to our first dungeon, and it is a fairly chonky dungeon. The first dungeon for FF4 is fairly small. It is very much a tutorial dungeon. First dungeon for FF6 is fairly small, and it is very much a tutorial dungeon. Even South Figaro is a fairly tutorial. The first chonker dungeon in FF6 is the second, or arguably the third dungeon, which is Mount Colt. And the first chonker dungeon in FF4 is the second dungeon. That's the pass. I forget what it's called, but it's the waterway pass that you're going through to get to Damcian. But Chrono Trigger starts with a chonker dungeon. The Cathedral is actually one of the larger dungeons in the entire first chunk of the game. There's a lot of optional stuff to do. There's a lot of different routes you can take. So it's got some malleability in terms of routing, in terms of optional, and of course, a lot of the enemies there are very, very carefully designed to be, like, difficult but not overwhelming, because everything there is weak to magic, which you don't have. So, that's all really solid. Then we get our first boss. Our first real boss. And most Chrono Trigger bosses, if there's one thing Chrono Trigger has that is definitively and objectively better than FF6, it is boss design. Because there actually is boss design. Our first boss is another good, positional, pay attention kind of a check. Which then leads immediately to, the conclusionary point, and we go back and blah, blah, blah. So none of that really matters, but you could see how that is an extremely strong intro. In fact, I would be willing to say that Chrono Trigger's intro is probably stronger than FF6's or FF4's. It probably helps. So Chrono Trigger doesn't just... There's no nice way to say this. Chrono Trigger just doesn't have the same level of story strength that FF6 does. Whereas Chrono Trigger tends to be better designed from a gameplay axis, generally speaking. We did a comparison review years ago, well before we had any of the current methods in place. And that was how things lined up back then as well. Yep, Aniksha is evil. Got it. Are you done? Yeah, no, the characters in Chrono Trigger just aren't at FF6's level. And some of the moments just do not hit the same. However, if there is one sequence of events narratively which is done almost perfectly in Chrono Trigger, it's the intro +1. To explain that, most people, myself included, would agree that Chrono Trigger's intro concludes the moment that you get back to the present, the moment you go back to 1000 AD. But the story doesn't really finish its introing until you go to the end of time. And if you think about the narrative across that, it's some very strong, very character-centric beats, isn't it? Like, why do we go back in the first place? To save Marl. Why do we go check out the cathedral? To save Marl. Why do we have to deal with all of the problems back in Guardia Castle? Well, that's because of the characters and because of the screw-upness with the Chancellor and how Marl's relationship with her father is falling apart. She's very much a main character for a lot of that intro part. No, it's a huge intro. Not quite as big as FF7's, but still. But then you decide to flee and you find a gate. And you go into the gate randomly because you're afraid and have nowhere else to run to. And then you end up there. And all of a sudden, the story just starts beating your face in for the next, like, couple of hours. There's the optional dome, which gives across a lot of exposition about what's going on. There's a horrible, like, that wonderful overworld. The first dungeon there, which is much meaner than the stuff you've been fighting up until now. And then we have the second dungeon, which is even better on both a narrative and a gameplay axis. And then we have the moment, which is when we finally are introduced to our main villain of Chrono Trigger. Quite a ways in, relatively speaking, compared to Kefka, who's literally the first character we see in FF6. We don't see the main villain of Chrono Trigger until all the way past, this point I'm talking about here. Are we done? We're done. Okay. Let's do the main quest of this stupid zone, shall we? Because we're done with all the side stuff. Thank God. You're ridiculous, Mr. Red. So yeah, I think Chrono Trigger, ironically, is actually a much better intro than FF6 or FF4. Even though I don't think it's going to score better than them in the long term, because it just doesn't hang, it doesn't stay at that sheer level of strength and power throughout it, especially narratively.
King's honor, friend.
Alright, so, it's good to see Captain Vimes is finally assigning others to this investigation. I've used a reflective powder to dust the area. It'll reveal suspicious objects and markings.
For the Alliance.
How does that even work? Okay, so there's a hoof print. There's a Theramore guard badge. And there's a black shield. Yes, I did, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. And I wouldn't know enough about the lore of the setting to really comment on such a thing, unfortunately. I will say if that cinematic did anything, it made me much less interested in playing that game. We'll see. I'm sure I'll end up playing it for the show. Sure, Ross, hit me. If you say Breath of Fire 3, we're going to raise an eyebrow at you here. All of these turn in here? Cool.
Well met. Go with honor, friend.
So, here's what we found at the inn.
For the Alliance.
It's never good when a guard's badge is brought to me. Sometimes it's someone who's fallen in battle and I'm left to give news to their grieving families. Other times we never find out what happened to them.
Light bless you.
I don't recognize the name, Lieutenant Pavel Reeve. Check in with the adjutant. Okay.
Be careful.
What about the
Go
upgrades?
with honor, friend.
It's true there's an extraordinary amount of centaur activity in the lands near the Dustwallow Marsh. No, there isn't. In brief excursions into the Barrens, we found their camps holdings dotting the area. Not anymore. I know. We're in the past.
Light bless you.
Have you found evidence?
For the Alliance. Be careful. Light bless you.
Sure, I can't be of much help, but I can refer you to someone who can. The blacksmith.
Honor,
Okay, well, hang on.
What can I do for you?
You'd like information about a specific member of the guard? Give me a moment to find him.
Careful.
Ah, here we go. Joined the Theramore Guard along with most of the recruits that came across the sea with Proudmoore. Enlisted in the Marines at the age of 16, distinguished service, promotions. Listed as missing.
Light be with you. For the Alliance.
Missing? That'd be Tessoron's kind way of saying traitor. No doubt he's one of those fools blindly loyal to Admiral Dalen, but he turned traitor. Isn't that a delicious irony? The deserters accuse us of betraying the Alliance.
Be careful.
It's been a struggle maintaining a presence in the marsh, but through strength of our resolve, we've been able to maintain several defensive watchtowers. Our latest information and scouting reports indicate a group of deserters has squatted on an abandoned tower to the Lost Point, southeast of the inn.
Go with honor, friend.
Okay, we'll go talk to him then. Spend a worthless talent point while we're at it. Ah, druid talents. But first, let's talk to the blacksmith.
My, you're a tall one.
Something for me to look
Off
at?
and away.
Not made by any blacksmith I know on this side of the seat. It's really not my work.
Alrighty then.
Ah, the leather strap must have been burned off, but it seems like it was fit to be a large person.
Be seeing
Like
you.
a Tauren. So there's hoof prints and Tauren, and we've been killing Grim Totem all over the place. Why is this a mystery? Like, why is this the MSQ? Gee, I wonder who did it. Hang on one second. Late to because no, I didn't. Apparently I'm having trouble splitting my attention right
Greetings.
now, too.
For the Alliance.
It's not much information to go on, but we'll keep it in mind.
Light bless
That's
you.
it? Okay. Charge. Okay. I think there's one other thing an intro should do. Give you a hook. As in, well, yeah, a hook. Yeah, sorry, I thought I mentioned that. Apparently I didn't. When I was talking about cold opens, I guess I didn't actually talk about that. One of the goals of a cold open is to hook the viewer or the player. Obviously, they can accomplish this for old players and new players, which I forgot to mention. That's a lot of deserters. Wow, that's a lot of deserters. Oh my god, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, okay, we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop. Pop this button. Are you scaled like some of the other stuff? Or am I gonna have to try here? Yeah, these are just suddenly not doing any damage to me. This is weird. Did Vime send you? Couldn't do his dirty work himself, could he? Breathe, that coward. We threw him out of camp because he kept insisting on raiding supplies of the ogres. We're not up to so many numbers that we could stand up to those mindless brutes. He crossed the line one too many times, so we left him to fend for himself. I helped you out. Why don't you help us out? I forget you bumped into us. Yeah, sure thing. Traitors. And back to town. Okay. See you around, Kennick's cow. Have a good day. So let's see. So a hook on what exactly we're trying to do. So let's go through them for a second. So in FF1, we're trying to restore the elements. Very, very basic, but it's there. In FF2, we're fighting the Empire. Okay. The Palametian Empire, but it still counts. In FF3, we're trying to restore everything. In FF4, we don't really have much of a hook early on, come to think of that. I suppose the more personal hook about Cecil and his doubts with the King of Baron count. Excuse me. And yeah, I've seen that, Mr. Flip. That's the AI one, if I'm not mistaken. Which I refuse to use on principle, but I've seen it.
Well met. For the Alliance.
We'll send Lieutenant Caldwell to deal with the deserters.
Light bless you. Go with honor.
I've spoken with Inspector Taram regarding the evidence you gathered. He seems certain the hoofprints on the shield you found point to the Grim Totem clan. With reports of Grim Totem activity on the rise, it has to be more than a coincidence. Okay.
Be careful.
Let's go look into the Grim Totem, who I remind you we've had 2 separate bundles of quests dealing with the Grim Totem already. Okay, so that was FF4. In FF5, we're trying to fix the crystals, because the elements are screwing up. In FF6, we're fighting the evil empire, again. And also trying to help Terra figure out who she is. Let's see. In FF7 we're fighting Shinra. In FF8... Interestingly enough, I consider FF8 to have a pretty strong intro. No, FF5 was the crystal one. I already talked about that. But FF8 has none of what you would probably consider a typical hook. Because the story hook of FF8's intro is actually really, really basic. You are a mercenary fighting as a mercenary. Boom. There's your hook. Yeah, exactly. Our goal is whatever mission we're given at the moment. We even go through 3 separate missions over the course of the intro. So we get the idea that this is just another job for us.
Can I assist you?
Captain Vines thinks the Grim Totem are behind the destruction of the Shady Inn. They wouldn't have been my first on my list of suspects, but if Captain Vines sent you, he must have his reasons.
Good luck, friend. Till next we meet.
The Grim Totems may be the most warlike of all the Tauren clans, but they're no means unorganized. They're the ones who put the torch. We'll have others. They'll have had orders from one of the clan elders. Okay?
Be careful. Till next we
With the
meet.
equipment you found at the ruins that belong to the Grim Totem, there's likely to be more like it in the camp to the northwest. Go check it out. Okay.
Good luck, friend.
So then we have FF9. FF9, once again, doesn't have a particularly strong hook because FF9's primary hook is survival. FF9's hook is a heist gone badly. We were here to kidnap the princess. That didn't work out. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. And the overwhelming majority of Disc 1 is spent just recovering from that incident, from that failure. I actually like that hook personally, but again, I'm not here to cast judgment. FF10's hook is much more emphasis on the mystery. What the hell? Where are we? When are we? What happened to where I was? What is this sin thing? Like, FF10's intro is just a huge question mark. Like I was talking about, FF9 establishes several mysteries. FF10 is nothing but mysteries. They have no idea what's going on at any given point in time, and we're just barely struggling to keep up the entire time. Fish out of water story. Then there's FF10-2's intro, which sucks. It's the worst FF intro of the ones I'm considering. It's bad gameplay-wise, and it's bad story-wise. And yeah, I'm just going to stop there, because I could actually dissect it, and I do hope to someday on camera, but FF10-2's intro is actively really bad. In a game that has 2 excellent elements of gameplay design, it goes out of its way to not showcase either during the intro, which is really frustrating. Then we have FF12. FF12's intro is odd. FF12's intro starts off as a big political thriller and playing as, just the ground floor of a greater war going on around you, which I find engaging personally. But very quickly after that, it becomes the perspective of just another guy. Of course. Of course I have to loot 4 of these random drop items. Why wouldn't I? Oh my god, this game. And so, like, for a lot of FF12's intro, it's mostly just watching the giants stomp around you while you're just trying to keep yourself fed. It doesn't really start kicking into overdrive until Han Solo shows up. That's arguably out of the intro at that point. And yeah, the out-of-depth thing definitely starts showing up by the time we invade the palace. I forget what they call it. Oh, thank God, that one was actually a bad drop, right? Yeah, then 13 tried to pull another 7, and 13 just had absolutely no idea what it was doing. I mentioned that 10-2's is the worst intro, but that's because I was only counting from 12 earlier. 13's intro is probably worse than 10-2's, because it's just as bad as 10-2's on the gameplay axis, except worse. And it's even worse on the story axis.
What brings you here? Be careful. Till next we meet. Be careful. Good luck, friend. Till next we meet,
You want me to go to Tabitha now?
be careful.
Okay, so we found from the Grim Totem that they have battle plans to attack every human settlement in the area. Deep in the quagmire to the south, there's a small farmstead owned by Tabitha. She may seem like a little more than a hermit, but the truth is she's a mage and a scryer of some renown. See if you can seek her help in finding the culprits responsible for the massacre. But we already know who did it! It was the frickin' Grim Totems. Yeah, 12's intro commits a sin a lot of RPGs do. The amount of options you have gameplay-wise early on is extraordinarily limited.
Greetings. Go with honor, friend.
There's no scrying necessary to see who's creating trouble. If this bandit burnt out the Shady Wrist Inn, there's no reason to tolerate their presence any longer. Take this torch and raise them to the ground.
Light bless you.
Okay. I can do that, I suppose. I'm getting close to the point where I have to lock my experience. But yeah, I'm going to stop at 13, because I don't know 13.2. I literally don't remember 13.2's intro off the top of my head. I've only played through it once. And, obviously 13.3's intro is just its own thing. I'm right here. What do you want from me? There we go. Get right up on its face there. Okay, I was gonna spare your miserable lives, but now you're dead. Anyways. I was gonna say, remember, as of Kata, the Alliance are allied with the Grim Totems. Anyways. It's okay, that never went anywhere. How dare you burn our homes down? You burned our tavern down. Yeah, but it was the enemy. Victim mentality. Anyways. So Lufia 2.
King's honor, friend. Be careful.
Although those Grim Totems were simply a nuisance, Captain Vimes will want to know about his deeds. It's too late to save Jim's family, but maybe the Grim Totems will think twice before attacking anyone connected to Theramore. They might even ally with you in a few years. Who knows? So, Lufia 2's. Let's see. Narratively, we start off extremely strongly. We've got the cutscene with Eric, the Absolute, and the implications there, which they never really follow through on, but it's still a very good implication thing. Oh, I have no idea, Trax, yeah. I haven't seen it. I probably never will. Yep, all land belongs to the Tauren. Which, if that sounds familiar, it's the same thing the Night Elves think. Anyways. Ancestral claims are just a plague. Moving on.
King's honor, friend. Go with honor, friend. Be careful.
I wish we had a way of letting James' wife and son know that we have brought their murderers to justice.
Light bless you.
Okay. I suppose that's true, Ross. It is still a hook. We then cut to an extremely down-to-earth perspective immediately after that big holy crap thing, which sounds familiar because it's the same thing that Secret of Mana pulls. Secret of Mana actually has a surprisingly strong intro for all the other issues they have. Go ahead and lay the wreath here. James? No, you're not James. I know who you are. You're the ones who tracked down the brutes who did this to us. I tried so hard to tell Jim, to tell anyone who was behind this, but I couldn't find a way. Yeah, it's because you're dead. Thank you for helping us and helping Jim. If you see him, tell him little Jimmy and I love him and we're waiting for him. Yeah, go kill yourself. Mommy, when will we see Daddy again? As soon as Daddy dies. Oh, that's horrible. God dang it. Getting stuck on terrain. So we start off with the big, high-scale, oh my gosh, doomy, doomy, doom stuff, and then cut immediately down to extremely down-to-earth stuff.
Greetings.
With just a local dude.
Alliance. Go with honor, friend.
And his supplier, essentially, chatting and just bantering. There's some early sparks of romance. He's an idiot. He goes off to fight some basic things. We have a very tutorial-y dungeon. Like an extremely tutorial-y dungeon. More so than usual. Let's go with... Yeah, it's literally the tutorial dungeon. Congrats. Alright, I need to go here next. So we can finally finish up Dustwallow. This is it. We're almost done, everyone. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it! This actual dungeon after that one is probably a better tutorial dungeon, ironically. Yeah, very, very, very minor escalation with the lizard guy I can't even think of the name of. And then we meet Scarlet, who's like, hey, what's up? Alright, let's go tell the king, Borellian.
I am ready to serve. Have courage, no matter what comes.
Hello. Have a good one.
So it was the Defias who served as the hands of the Onyxia. Humph. You and Lady Jaina have done Stromid a great service this day.
Farewell.
Return to Lady Jaina. You literally had me come here just... Okay.
Be careful. Farewell.
Yeah, hey, Chromie. Chromie. I need to chat. Yeah, Iris dumps plot. Sorry, I call her Scarlet because the name of the song is The Scarlet Lady. Yeah, no, this is just vanilla quests. It's just how this is. Go over here, talk to someone, then go way back over here. Best part is the addition of things like being able to teleport. That's new. You didn't have this back in the day. You had to do this the long way. Oh god, what's the name of the guy again? Malin. Who the heck? What do you have? Oh, that's an interesting quest to be given right now. We'll ignore that. You know, I don't think they cared Von Falkenstein, but either way, I don't know. Yeah, no, it's fine. Just go from one continent to the other. It's fine. Walk, walk, walk. Remember, this is a level 30-ish quest, so you probably didn't have a mount because you weren't level 40 yet. What? Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta show this off. So, there's been a wonkiness ever since, I think Dragonflight is what introduced this. Where the routing for the way you should go for certain quests is a little bit weird. Like, for example, right now it's telling me to get back to Theramore, I need to go to Boralis. So let's go to Boralis really quick. Let's see what it says next. Okay, so now I need to take the portal to Ironforge. Okay, okay. I think I know what it wants me to do. Yep, and now it wants me to take the boat to Theramore. That is funny. Like, that's not even technically wrong. That is a route you could take if you're trying to get to this boat. It is faster to take the portal to Borealis, to take the portal to Ironforge, to get to Menethil Harbor. That's funny. Yeah, there's the boat right there. There it is. Wow. Anyways, yeah, but so Lufia 2's intro is basic, but good, I would say. I do like the pacing. I do like narrative pacing. I do like the juxtaposition. You know, the main plot, which we actually start strong. Like, it starts heavy hitting. And again, just like Secret of Mana, right? Think about Secret of Mana's intro for just a second. It talks about a war that devastated the land and how everything horrible is going to happen again, and doom, doom, doom. Big, heavy plot stuff. And then it cuts immediately to just some rando kid who's just having another day in the life kind of a thing, right? That's a good juxtaposition. It's a common approach. The difference is Secret of Mana gets going pretty quickly, whereas Lufia 2 takes its time, which actually I think is in its favor. I will say that Lufia 2 doesn't have what I would call a very strong hook, as Bladejeval was mentioning earlier. Like, obviously I'm interested and invested in Tia and Maxim's character arcs and how they are bouncing off of each other. And obviously I want to know what the hell's going on with these sinistral whatever the hell they are. So, it's an interesting one. I think I would probably put it below FF4 in terms of overall quality, but still good, obviously. We're back! We made it. I mean, we've discussed before, Maxim A isn't very smart, and B is legitimately crazy. So, that tracks, you know? Ah, Mage Towers.
Welcome to Theramore.
I have no doubt the Admiral meant every word she said when she told you she plans to destroy the Defiance once and for all. Remember, that was a BC story arc. By contrast, we will still see the Defiance as of Kata. Although Kata's kind of the end of the Defiance, really. Hope you enjoyed that, because that's kind of the end of that. And that was Dustwallow. This zone sucked. I'm gonna have to actually sit and really process how bad that was. Because that was actually worse than I was thinking it was going to be. Better in some ways, but worse in others. Let me think about this. Let me get perched here. Like, I'm not sure I can think of a single positive for this entire zone. That is saying something. Okay. It's true, Bladejeval. You know, this is a zone I never recommend anyone do. For any reason whatsoever. There's no reason to go do this zone. If you really want the Lore Keeper achievement, there you go. That's your reason. I suppose I'll take this while I'm doing it, actually. Be a little efficient about it. Yeah, Maxim's an interesting take on the I like fighting archetype.
What's up? Hurry back!
Hey, Evo, you just missed the worst zone in Kata. I know, it's only technically a Kata zone. Which one, Valvedrix, if you don't mind sharing? Because we've got several options. We've got Ungoro, we've got Fellwood, we got Winter Spring. And that's actually kind of it. Those are the late Kata zone, or Kalimdor zones, excuse me. Unless you mean Silithus. Oh, Silithus. Hey, look at the 1,000 Needles. Oh, nice, Eva. I can't wait to hear them. I think you're right, secret boss fight. That's an interesting idea. We could literally tally up Eastern Kingdoms versus Kalimdor. See how that lines up. Oh no, there's an idea, Evo. I will say this. Dustwallow Marsh isn't the worst zone we've covered, period. No, that honor still belongs to Blade's Edge. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't think anything's ever going to surpass the Blade's Edge Mountains. Right? Like, for real, can we think... Well, okay. Can we think of any zone that isn't Kurthia that'll ever surpass the Blade's Edge? Like, these zones will be fine. These zones will all be fine. We've got the Dragon Isles. These are going to be great zones. These zones will be all great. Kandara is all going to be great. Yeah, no, I don't think anything's actually going to surpass Blade's Edge, other than Kurthia. I think we have our number 2 slot. So what's the title, Evo? When did the Alliance officially become the Alliance? So the current Alliance officially became the Alliance when the various races... Look, don't question it, okay? Nostalgia's echo. I like it. In all sincerity, it's really vague. Like, after the events of Warcraft 3... Sorry, during the events of Warcraft 3, there is no Alliance. Like, there's Jaina's forces who fled to Kalimdor. And then there's, like, the military forces stuck in Lordaeron fighting against the Scourge. Which is consistent of dwarves, humans, and blood elves. Excuse me. No, yeah, blood elves, I'm right. And that's kind of it. But the Alliance, as it currently is seen, was invented for vanilla, for raw vanilla.
Well, friend of the Grummles.
So, I don't know, like, I could go look it up, but I don't know off the top of my head when it actually was formed. You keep saying if you want, as if I don't. So I'm going to just find this random thing here, Evo, okay? I'm just going to do this thing here. I'm just going to keep doing this until you take it back, okay? I'm just going to keep hitting this button. At some point, you'll realize that you should take it back. But I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. So I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. Okay. Only got up to 56. That should work out. Anyways, for real though, Dustwallow sucks. Oh my god. In fact, at the moment, it looks like Dustwallow is our... So we've got Blade's Edge, Blood Mist, Ghostlands, and then a tie between Dustwallow and Ice Crown as far as worst zones. And then immediately after that would be Shadow Moon. I'm gonna go grab some food. I'll see you guys.